The 1920s in America, a time of unprecedented economic growth and societal change. Jazz music filled the air, flapper dresses redefined fashion, and a newfound sense of freedom permeated everyday life. New technologies, like the automobile and the radio, transformed the social landscape, connecting people and ideas like never before. Amidst this exhilarating era, a darker reality was taking shape. The Roaring Twenties, in all its glory, would soon give way to an era of unprecedented hardship, the Great Depression. The dazzling facade of the Roaring Twenties concealed a series of structural weaknesses in the American economy. One such vulnerability lay in the unequal distribution of wealth. While the rich prospered, a significant portion of the population struggled to make ends meet. Another hidden crack in the economic foundation was the overextension of credit. This speculative bubble, inflated by optimism and fueled by debt, was poised to burst with devastating consequences. October 29, 1929, Black Tuesday. The speculative bubble that had been propping up the stock market finally burst, sending shockwaves throughout the American economy and the world. The Dow Jones Industrial Average plunged by nearly 13% on Black Tuesday. The collapse of the stock market had immediate and far-reaching consequences. Black Tuesday marked the beginning of the Great Depression, a period of unprecedented economic contraction and social upheaval. From Wall Street to Main Street. The economic earthquake that struck on Black Tuesday quickly rippled outward from Wall Street, reaching every corner of American society. As businesses failed and unemployment soared, the demand for goods and services plummeted, further deepening the economic downturn. The banking system, already weakened by the stock market crash, collapsed under the weight of bad loans and bank runs. Everyday people faced immense hardships. Families lost their homes, and many were forced to live in makeshift shanty towns. Businesses, both big and small, struggled to stay afloat, leading to widespread closures and bankruptcies. The Dust Bowl, a severe drought that devastated the Great Plains in the 1930s, compounded the problems of American farmers. The Great Depression, once a distant rumble on the horizon of American prosperity, had become a devastating reality for millions. As the initial shock of the stock market crash reverberated across America, the true depths of the economic calamity began to reveal themselves. The American dream, once a beacon of hope for millions, seemed to vanish overnight, replaced by a chilling reality of unemployment, poverty, and hunger. The unemployment rate soared to unimaginable heights, reaching a staggering 25% by 1933. The human cost of the Great Depression was etched in the faces of those who bore its brunt. America, once a beacon of hope for the world, was adrift in a sea of despair, its future uncertain, its spirit shaken to its core. Families were torn apart, communities fractured, and the very fabric of society was tested. Yet, in the face of such overwhelming adversity, the resilience of the human spirit began to shine through. The Great Depression's most visible consequence was the staggering rise in unemployment. Millions found themselves jobless and desperate. Breadlines became a ubiquitous symbol of the nation's economic plight. The humiliation of asking for charity was profound. Yet they stood patiently in line, hoping for a meager meal. Soup kitchens and breadlines became lifelines for millions. Shantytowns, dubbed Hoovervilles, emerged on the outskirts of cities. These makeshift communities became home to those who had lost everything. Named after President Hoover, these settlements stood as stark reminders of the human cost of the Great Depression. Personal stories of hardship and resilience emerged from these lines. Families in Hoovervilles clung to hope, despite the dire conditions. In the face of adversity, communities found strength in unity. Many individuals shared heart-wrenching stories of losing their homes and livelihoods. Children in these communities often faced malnutrition and lack of education. Living conditions were harsh, with families crammed into small, poorly constructed shacks. Despite the dire circumstances, residents often came together to support one another. Resourcefulness and resilience were common traits among Hooverville residents. Soup kitchens within these communities provided essential sustenance. The shared experience of hardship fostered a strong sense of community. Makeshift schools and community efforts aimed to provide some semblance of normalcy for the children. Ingenuity and determination were key to survival in these challenging times. Families found ways to make do with what little they had. Community support was crucial in helping residents endure the hardships of the Great Depression. Amidst the despair, small acts of hope and resilience shone through. These makeshift communities, though born out of desperation, became a testament to the human spirit's ability to endure and adapt. As the Great Depression tightened its grip on America, a natural disaster struck the heartland, the Dust Bowl. Severe drought and dust storms transformed fertile farmland into a barren wasteland, displacing millions. The Dust Bowl exposed the fragility of the land and the consequences of unsustainable farming. Severe drought and relentless winds created massive dust storms or black blizzards. Dust storms buried crops, livestock, and towns, turning day into night. Respiratory problems and psychological tolls were rampant. Millions abandoned their homes, seeking refuge and opportunity elsewhere. Farmers faced immense struggles, battling both economic hardship and environmental devastation. Government relief efforts, including New Deal programs, aimed to provide some respite, but the road to recovery was long and arduous. Families lived in makeshift homes, and community soup kitchens became a lifeline for many. Many migrants arrived in California, only to find harsh conditions and limited opportunities. Government workers assisted migrants, and public works projects aimed to restore the land and provide jobs. The Civilian Conservation Corps played a crucial role in soil conservation and reforestation efforts. Slowly, the land began to recover, and families returned to rebuild their lives, but the scars of the Dust Bowl remained. The Great Depression, while originating in the United States, was not confined to its borders. Like a contagion, it spread rapidly across the globe, infecting economies large and small, industrialized and agrarian, leaving a trail of economic devastation and social upheaval in its wake. The interconnectedness of the global economy, particularly through trade and finance, meant that the collapse of the American economy had profound repercussions worldwide, creating a domino effect that toppled financial institutions, businesses, and governments. The collapse of the American stock market had an immediate impact on international markets, as investors panicked, selling off their holdings and seeking refuge in more stable currencies. The flow of credit, the lifeblood of the global economy, dried up, as banks, fearing further losses, curtailed lending, both domestically and internationally. The decline in international trade, a consequence of shrinking demand and rising protectionism, further exacerbated the economic downturn, as countries sought to protect their own industries and workers, even at the expense of their trading partners. The impact of the Great Depression was felt most acutely in those countries heavily reliant on exports to the United States, such as Germany, Japan, and Latin America. The collapse of demand for their goods, coupled with falling commodity prices, devastated their economies, leading to mass unemployment, social unrest, and political instability. In Germany, the economic crisis created fertile ground for the rise of extremist ideologies, most notably the Nazi Party, which exploited the widespread resentment and despair to gain power, with devastating consequences for the world. The Great Depression, a global crisis of unprecedented scale and scope, exposed the interconnectedness of the world economy and the shared fate of nations. It highlighted the need for international cooperation and coordination in addressing economic challenges, a lesson that would resonate in the post-war era, leading to the creation of institutions such as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, designed to promote global financial stability and prevent future economic disasters. As the Great Depression tightened its grip, President Hoover, once hailed as a visionary, found himself ill-equipped to cope with the crisis. His belief in limited government intervention proved inadequate, eroding public confidence and exacerbating suffering. Hoover's approach was shaped by his convictions about limited government and American capitalism. A self-made man, Hoover believed the government should facilitate private enterprise, not provide social welfare. He believed self-reliance and the free market would lift the nation out of the Depression. Hoover relied on voluntary measures, urging businesses to maintain wages and promoting public works. However, these measures proved ineffective in stemming the tide of economic decline. Businesses laid off workers and cut wages, regardless of Hoover's pleas. Charities, overwhelmed by the need, found their resources stretched thin. Hoover's policies, seen as too little, too late, faced growing criticism. Critics argued for a more active government role in alleviating suffering. Others contended his interventions were counterproductive, prolonging the Depression. Hoover's failure paved the way for Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal, altering government-citizen relations. As the Great Depression tightened its grip, the social fabric began to unravel. Unemployment, hunger, and despair sprouted into protests and strikes. Faith in the government's ability to help was shaken. Desperate residents began to organize and demand action. Hunger marches escalated, demanding jobs, food, and relief. Strikes often turned violent, met with resistance from employers and police. The Bonus Army March of 1932 became a flashpoint for social unrest. The social and political landscape of America was transforming. The seeds of discontent would shape America in the decades to come. The year 1932 marked a turning point in the Great Depression, not only for America, but for the world. The nation, weary from years of economic hardship and desperate for change, elected Franklin Delano Roosevelt as its 32nd president. Roosevelt, a man of boundless energy and infectious optimism, offered a message of hope and a promise of action. A New Deal for the American people, a bold plan to address the immediate crisis and lay the foundation for a more just and equitable society. Roosevelt's New Deal was not a single program or policy. It was a sweeping and multifaceted approach to the Depression. It encompassed a wide range of initiatives designed to provide relief for the unemployed, stimulate economic recovery, and reform the systems that had contributed to the crisis. It was a radical departure from the laissez-faire policies of the Hoover administration, recognizing that the government had a responsibility to intervene in the economy, to protect its citizens from the vagaries of the market, and to ensure the well-being of society as a whole. One of Roosevelt's first acts as president was to declare a bank holiday, closing all banks for 4 days to restore confidence in the banking system and prevent further bank runs. This decisive action, coupled with the creation of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, which insured bank deposits, helped to stabilize the financial system and restore public trust in the banking industry. Roosevelt also moved swiftly to address the plight of the unemployed, establishing a number of programs designed to provide jobs and relief. The Civilian Conservation Corps, CCC, put young men to work planting trees, building trails, and improving national parks, providing them with much-needed income and valuable job skills. The Works Progress Administration, WPA, one of the most ambitious New Deal programs, employed millions of Americans in a wide range of public works projects, from building roads and bridges to painting murals and writing plays. The Works Progress Administration, WPA, created in 1935, was a key part of Roosevelt's New Deal. It provided jobs and revitalized American infrastructure and culture. The WPA built roads, bridges, public buildings, and supported the arts. Millions found employment, from laborers to artists. The Civilian Conservation Corps, CCC, focused on young men, providing jobs in conservation. They planted trees, built trails, and improved national parks. The CCC offered purpose, discipline, and camaraderie. Both programs left lasting legacies that benefit America today. The New Deal marked a turning point, expanding the federal government's role in providing a safety net. Before the New Deal, there was no national system of Social Security or unemployment insurance. The Social Security Act of 1935 established old-age pensions, unemployment insurance, and assistance for the blind, disabled, and dependent children. Social Security, funded through payroll taxes, provided financial security for millions. Unemployment insurance offered temporary financial assistance to jobless workers. These programs represented a shift in the American social contract, recognizing the government's responsibility to its citizens. The enduring legacy of the New Deal. The New Deal, while primarily a response to the immediate crisis of the Great Depression, had a profound and lasting impact on American society, transforming the role of government, reshaping the political landscape, and leaving an enduring legacy of social and economic reforms that continue to shape the nation today. One of the most significant legacies of the New Deal was the expansion of the federal government's role in the economy and the lives of its citizens. Prior to the New Deal, the federal government played a relatively limited role in the economy, adhering to a laissez-faire philosophy that emphasized individual initiative and limited government intervention. The New Deal, however, ushered in an era of greater government activism, as the federal government took on new responsibilities for providing relief, stimulating economic recovery, and regulating the financial system. The New Deal also had a profound impact on the political landscape of the United States, solidifying the Democratic Party's dominance for decades to come. Roosevelt's New Deal coalition, which included labor unions, African Americans, farmers, and urban voters, created a powerful political force that would elect Democrats to the White House for much of the next half-century. The New Deal also left an enduring legacy of social and economic reforms that continue to benefit Americans today. Social Security, unemployment insurance, the minimum wage, and other New Deal programs have become integral parts of the American social safety net, providing a measure of security and dignity to millions of Americans. The New Deal also strengthened the rights of labor unions, leading to improved working conditions and higher wages for millions of workers. The New Deal, while not without its critics, is widely regarded as one of the most transformative periods in American history, a time when the government, in response to an unprecedented crisis, took bold action to alleviate suffering, rebuild the economy, and create a more just and equitable society. The shadow of war and the dawn of a new era. The New Deal did not single-handedly lift the United States out of the Great Depression. The outbreak of World War II proved to be the catalyst for the final end to the Great Depression. The war effort created a surge in demand for goods and services. Unemployment plummeted as millions found jobs in war industries or joined the armed forces. The Great Depression left an indelible mark on the United States, shaping its political, economic, and social landscape. The Great Depression, a cataclysmic event that shook the very foundations of the United States and reverberated across the globe, may seem like a distant memory, a chapter in the history books. But its echoes can still be heard today, its lessons as relevant as ever in our interconnected and ever-changing world. The economic turmoil, the social upheaval, the human suffering endured during that tumultuous decade serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of prosperity, the consequences of unchecked greed and speculation, and the importance of government intervention in times of crisis. The images of the Great Depression, etched in our collective memory through haunting photographs, newsreels, and first-hand accounts, retain their power to move and inspire, reminding us of the human cost of economic hardship. The Breadlines, the Hoovervilles, the Dust Bowl migrants, the faces of despair and resilience. These images serve as a potent reminder of the importance of social safety nets, the need for responsible financial regulation, and the moral imperative to care for the most vulnerable members of society. The Great Depression also highlighted the interconnectedness of the global economy, demonstrating how economic shocks in one part of the world can quickly cascade across borders, affecting nations large and small. The collapse of international trade, the rise of protectionism, the spread of economic hardship from the United States to Europe, Asia, and beyond underscore the need for international cooperation, coordinated economic policies, and a commitment to shared prosperity. The echoes of the Great Depression can be heard in contemporary debates about income inequality, financial regulation, globalization, and the role of government. The lessons learned from that era, both in terms of the causes of the crisis and the effectiveness of the responses, continue to inform economic policy and social welfare programs today, serving as a touchstone for policymakers and a reminder that the choices we make today can have far-reaching consequences for future generations.